I've been talking to a lot of people and interviewing a lot of people because of that. So I just wanted everybody's perspective and to like kind of figure out what is going on because
Right.
also like my kundalini has been activated again and it's like really intense
Mm.
these days. And my third eye has been growing and like I feel my heartbeat in my third eye now.
Ah,
Yeah, like it's like connected almost, and like it's really interesting, and that's
I,
obviously come with like a heightened sense of like awareness, you
yeah.
know. But
But what?
yeah, so it seems like your videos have been like pretty deep recently. They've been about like meditation. Um, what made you get more into that? Like I've seen you've had some mushroom experiences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the mushroom experience is really kind of brought back my meditation because I used to meditate all the time. Like even before I was doing DMT, I was meditating. So it's like I used to meditate, and I don't know why I just got out of it. I stopped doing it as much, and like I'm doing so many things that I'm like I always make up the excuse that I don't have time to meditate, and but those mushroom experiences really helped me get back into just a focus of okay, I can also focus on physical reality things as much as I can still focus on spiritual growth. And it's made me realize, well, I've been meditating for a while, but I haven't really been meditating that much since after the psychedelic experiences and after I've been able to take these a little deeper, the psychedelics a little deeper, which in return has helped me be able to take meditation a little deeper, and I always the deepest meditations I usually go on are usually with a blindfold. Like I always like have a blindfold or something,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that's just yeah, and then I just really let the meditation show me what happen. Whatever happens, happens. And some meditations are just weird, and some are sometimes just thoughts. It'd be like no visuals. It's just blackness. Like I'm in this infinite void, basically, and it's just me going over my thoughts and the things that have been going on in my life, organizing myself basically, and trying to balance myself. But meditation has just really helped me balance myself just in everything I'm going through right now, and it just really helps me stay focused.
So what have you been going through that's like made you balance yourself? Because I find like I've also had to do that. Um, I've been meditate like that. Meditation's the only thing that keeps me from being an asshole more than I already am.
Yeah,
you know?
hell yeah.
Yeah.
Same, it really helps me just stay balanced, and because with everything I'm going through some things where the mother of my child won't let me see my daughter, and it's just I'm just going through some things and got to take her to court and got to do all that,
Yeah.
and it's just all of that really helped me. Well, I guess it really helped me see something, even though it's a bad situation. It really helped me learn that okay, I have to stay cool, calm, and collected through a situation like this, and I can't let my emotions get the best of me, and sometimes my emotions were getting the best of me, so I really was like, okay, I
Yeah.
need to get myself balanced again, and
Yeah.
and then it's just really helped. And then also trying to balance the things with my business. I've been trying to start a business for like a year now, and
Yeah.
it's like I'm finally almost there.
I
But
saw, I saw. It was, I don't know where I saw it, but it was like a picture of like your business. Like you actually got it like registered and
yeah,
everything. That's
yeah,
so
yeah,
awesome. So it's called Sacred
so,
Sensations. Or
yeah,
yeah. I remembered. Yeah, so I'm really interested about that stuff because for me at least, like I have been getting that like schism of the mind and like having to balance myself and my chakras and like feel the multidimensionality of this whole entire experience and like see the illusions, you know what I mean? Like see the deeper truths to reality and it's gotten me pretty off balanced. So I've been just like meditating my butt off and like going into lucid states. Like that's how I like to meditate, laying down. And
uh,
I'll have visions. I'll get into lucid states and I'll stay there and I'll try to stay there for a while. And like it's kind of like training your brain almost to stay in those half awake, half sleep states. And the longer you could do, like the more you could see.
Right.
And I've been like getting a lot of geometries and like different codes and like really occult type stuff and like streams of like zeros and ones, kind of like we're hacking our consciousness, you
Right.
know, like subconsciously, which is so cool. And I've also seen within myself my work get like super serious, you know, and like I'm a lot more focused and like it's that balance that I have to keep, you know, and like that non-duality. I have to sometimes, you know, come from a more understanding and loving space, you know, and not really fall for the illusions. You know, that's been the deeper download, and you're just like, wow, I have to be a lot more, you know, I have to get more stuff done. So I've actually been looking into like binaural beats and like music and stuff like
Well, I
that.
love binaural beats. Like, they really help me take a meditation a little deeper. And I use binaural beats even like when I smoke DMT. Sometimes I'll use binaural beats. Sometimes it'll
I've
be
done
silent,
that.
but binaural beats on DMT helps me. It's almost like an anchor for me, like where it like can help me stay more focused in it instead of just saying ooh you know, and getting kind of sucked into the wow experience of the psychedelic.
Yeah, I totally feel you. I also have used DMT and binaural beats together, and it was awesome. Like at my first experience, I used DMT and binaural beats, and I went so far, and like I had been in there for like 45 minutes, and like after a while I'm like, this isn't working, like why am I still here? You know, like I was so afraid to go too far the first time around, but I had done it over and over and over again because you don't break through the first few tries, you know.
Yeah.
So I had to like put it in the pipe, smoke, you know, 2 or 3 tokes, nothing. So I was smoking it and smoking it and smoking it. I just kept on smoking, filling it up, smoking after like, and just going deeper and deeper until I found myself super deep, and I'm like, oh no. Yeah, and I freaked
I've been
out,
there.
and I saw like quantum physics. I saw myself on like a really like a microscopic level, like, you know, and it went, I was crazy. I was like, wow, like all of this information about my body, it's like looking into a microscope, you know, and just like seeing myself on a cellular level, you know, that was so cool. But yeah, that's what I saw when I first went really deep, and it was terrifying because like they were the bouncy balls, you know, like, and I didn't know what they were. But then I realized that they were just like, you know, what makes me, and that was just like, it was still terrifying, you know. I'm still terrified of DMT.
Oh, yeah.
I think because every single time that I go in, I get my ass kicked. So, you know.
No, I know what you mean now. And it's funny because with me, it's like I still get terrified like right before I do DMT. It doesn't matter like how many times you do it. It doesn't really matter. It's just like even before shrooms though, before any psychedelic experience, I get a little like, oh man, like I gotta prepare myself for what I'm, you know, getting myself into, and
yeah. That's one thing that I've been having to like understand, that like fear is what we have to transcend, whether it's in the psychedelic experience or realizing that life in general is super psychedelic, and we have to like transcend that fear every single moment. You know, like I've been realizing that because life itself, like we were just talking, I was talking to another psychedelic YouTuber, and they were saying they've been accessing DMT states without taking DMT, and it's been like a year since they've taken DMT, and they like are triggered by, you know, like just illusion, you know, seeing past the illusion and just going into this space of thought where it triggers you to like, you know, release some DMT within the brain, and then you're like, oh shit. Yeah, that's happened to me quite a few times in the past few months. So that's why I've been like chilling with the psychedelics for a while. But I really want to get into mushrooms a lot more. I find that I could definitely learn a lot from them. And I haven't really done more than 3.5 grams of
Right.
mushrooms. So
Yeah, me neither. Though. Me
yeah,
neither. I've only
yeah,
done 3.5
yeah,
was I've ever took,
yeah.
but even that was deep enough for me to, take it deep. Because if you know how to meditate, like if it kind
Mhm.
of helps you push a psychedelic even farther. Because
Yeah.
I know people that say, that 3.5 isn't even enough. You're just dipping your toes in it, and I'm like, it's not always about
Depends.
taking the most, and just being like, yeah, I took 10 grams of mushrooms, and I feel like sometimes it's about, being able to take the most information out of what you got, because if you take 10 grams of mushrooms, you might only be able to say, dude, that was a wild experience. You might not be able to say anything else besides that.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. When taking the 3.5 grams, I had taken it over a period of time, but there was a point where like reality was dissolving, and I did realize that hey, this seems easier to take because I've been in DMT, so I wasn't really freaking out as much. You know what I mean? And I do meditate, so I'm like, all right, like, and then you get that thought download or like that thought like from exterior and like yeah I've had some pretty intense experiences on 3 grams 3.5 grams.
Yeah,
I
me too.
used golden teachers though.
Yeah, my favorite. They're
Mm-hmm.
like probably one of my favorites.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting ready to either next month, probably next month. I'm gonna try some. They're Puerto Rican mushrooms. I didn't know there was Puerto Ricans, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna try that. Because really, I
Yeah.
think the only shrooms that I've ever done are the Golden Teachers.
Yeah. 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 I've been wanting to do that, so I've been taking some time off because it can be intense,
Yeah.
especially when you're seeing things and shit.
No, I know what you mean by that. Because it's like I take a break from psychedelics, and then it's like I go back to psychedelics,
Mm-hmm.
and things just even right now, like I'm not even it's not like I'm tripping or anything, but even when I just smoke a little bit, or
Yeah.
if I drink maybe a tea or something, things might get a little trippy, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
and then it starts to fade away though. Like if I take time away from the psychedelics,
Mm-hmm.
but I think it's really just maybe that's what the world looks like, and when you open your third eye completely, it's
Yeah,
just
it's
the
all
world
psychedelic.
is.
That's what I've been telling people. That's what I've been telling people. Like, I don't really. It's when you take psychedelics, you open a portal to your higher self, to your spirit. And honestly, I was just sensitive. I don't know. I took it enough, and it's there. Third eye's like growing, and they
Yeah.
grow in stages, like within every year, and they grow more and more. But I don't need anything more than just a little cannabis to like get shot into that psychedelic space, whether it's acid or DMT. Like it just gets really weird,
Mhm.
and I get these like ideas and thoughts or like or understandings of things a lot more of myself, and it's like always ego dissolving.
Right, right.
So
I know what you mean though. Because lately I've been doing some research on the chakras and things like that, and I was researching because I've been getting like this. It's not like a bad feeling as much as it feels almost like energy trying to come out of my chest or something.
yep,
Sometimes.
I got that recently. I actually, when I was realizing one part of the illusion of the Matrix, which is love, which is kind of weird and crazy when you detach from the people or from yourself or from anybody or anything. You're just detaching from everything. And then my heart chakra like emitted this like pain. Yeah, this energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happens when it's stuff's going on there. Yeah.
And I never really got into chakras really until recently, and I was just researching these things, and I'm like, okay, the crown chakra and the heart chakra and the root chakra, and it feels like some of my chakras are open, but some of them are blocked,
Yeah.
and it's like I feel like maybe the heart one is blocked, and maybe that's why it's going through something to unblock it, and because I have been meditating a lot lately compared to what I was doing.
Yeah. I find like certain psychedelic experiences have opened up certain chakras. So for me, with DMT, it was the heart. It was really the heart. And then like my crown as well. Like that's where I got all of the information from. Like it was this like galactic subconscious hum that I didn't even understand, you know. And then I'd wake up the next day and like understand things a lot better and like be able to do certain things that I wasn't able to do before. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like stuff like that. Yeah, yeah. And then like my sacral chakra, your root chakra, everything starts opening up. And like if you've watched any of my videos, the new stuff has been about my chakras opening,
Hmm.
and feeling yourself like multi-dimensionally into infinity. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's just like, and then you get like that bliss, and then you're like orgasming, and you're like, oh shit, like this is how we're like supposed to be feeling all the time, like when everything's activated. And like you
Yeah.
have all this energy, and then you have all because your crown chakra is open, so you're getting like all of this information, and then you're like a channel, or you're like this
And
stream
then
of
just
energy.
channeling. Yeah, the
Yeah.
energy is almost like channeling through you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 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 exactly. So I've been getting into a lot of that because weird stuff's been happening. Yeah, especially in the back of your head, you feel a lot of energy.
Hmm.
The crown chakra, this is constantly pulsating, and like you feel your heart. All the chakras are like connected. You feel them, and like you feel the rod, and it's just really it's like this vortex energy.
Hmm.
You know, like you feel it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely. I was definitely just intrigued by all the things about the chakras because I didn't really know much about chakras. Just the basic.
Hmm.
And so just because I was experiencing that, I figured, why not look into if is anyone else going through this stuff.
Yep.
And because it's almost like everyone is going through this big shift, like everyone, or at least everyone that's on a journey of within themselves, and the journey within themselves. I feel like it's like you know that's why I like sometimes I get like I don't want to call it anxiety attacks, but it's almost like it almost feels like just energy where I'm like like I need to release the energy somehow. Um, and yeah, and then usually I'll just make a video, do some yoga, do some meditation, um, do something to transmute that energy.
Yeah. Ah, yeah. I mean, I usually just think it out. That's my thing. I just meditate on that energy. You know what I mean? And like that's what I do. And that transmutes it. Like yesterday, I kept on trying to like avoid like something within myself, you know, and like I was getting the signs and like you know, and like it's energy obviously that you're transmuting, and you
Yeah.
have to kind of like recognize it first for it to even process. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've been getting really into like what's been going on, and like interviewing other people that have been going through the same thing because yeah, yeah, it seems like we're all going through we're all going through it. And like yesterday, like so I had third eye vision of the moon, and
Huh?
that was really interesting. So it was the moon, and it was again like the crown chakra was open, and a lot of the energy I've been also talking to other people is like the divine feminine energy,
Hmm.
that's coming to both men and women. You
Yeah.
know, like that's what's going on here. And I was talking to another YouTuber. He does like mathematics and stuff like that, and like occult stuff. And he was also talking about like the divine feminine. He was like explaining everything. I was like, oh, that's why it's like this like very feminine buzzing like subconscious thing that comes into your crown chakra. You can't even process. You don't even know what's going on. Like I can't tell you the information that's being streamed because it's like it's on such a subconscious level,
Hmm.
like that you don't even process it until later, like your
I think
body.
it. I think it's almost like because we're starting to wake up. I think the whole consciousness, like Mother Earth's consciousness is waking up as well. And like I also like I had this idea where it's like I think that Mother Earth like is preparing for something. Like I think the human race and everything like is preparing for something because I was doing some research and I was just watching some people talk about this and then I did some more like research, reading some things about it, but there's a lot of things, like even science says that, we're trying to move towards Mars. We're trying to, see if we could terraform Mars to make it livable. See if we could terraform Titan, Saturn's moon to make it livable. I think that humans are supposed to, expand outwards like that. I mean, maybe that's why there's this big shift going on because we're going to have to evolve. If we're getting ready to depart for the stars and we're getting ready to, spread out the consciousness basically past planet Earth, then I feel like we have to be prepared for that. And maybe Mother Earth and everything's trying to get prepared for that. Yeah. But I also think that, obviously the people that are trying to go to Mars, their intentions aren't the same as ours. They're not sitting here thinking, yeah, we're going to, try to bring Mars to life again because then there will be that's another planet consciousness, because humans are the only thing that we could actually bring life to a planet, to a dead planet, basically. And, and I don't know, I was just talking to my friend Fi about this the other day, and we've been kind of debating about, what's next for, I guess, humans, and, why are all these things happening, and why now, because there was...
I know, keep on going.
No, I was
No, we were all coming to the same conclusion, and I find other people also doing this work are coming to the same conclusion. Some people will start to realize that they could just create their own realities or go to different dimensions. Like that's what the chakra points are, gateways to different dimensions.
Yeah.
And like that's what we're accessing and we're doing, and we're going to be going into the stars. Like that's what we're going to be doing in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I definitely that we're interdimensional beings that play human, and it's like we think we're human, we're not. We're much bigger than that, and that's why we have chakras. That's why we can do things like this, and that's why this thing, things like this are happening.
And apparently we're immortal, which is why everybody wants to attach to us.
That would make sense.
Because we're immortal, so like we can experience timelessness, infinity, which some interdimensional entities can't. So
yeah, no, that's a good point. I was thinking that same thing where it's like maybe the human consciousness, like the true human consciousness, the collective consciousness, is a certain type of interdimensional being. And there's possibly other types of interdimensional beings that can't do what the human can. And I think our consciousness is extremely, extremely powerful. But because we're asleep, we don't realize how much power we have. And I think that might change. Hopefully that changes because, with channels like yours and channels like mine and other people that are kind of explaining what's going on to them and explaining, the things that are happening, and explaining their knowledge, then maybe other people can wake up and the whole can wake up. Because if a majority of people are awake, if the majority are awake, then the majority is asleep, then I feel like we'll have a good chance of actually doing something good.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
Because I think Mother Earth has a plan. I don't know what the plan is, but I think she has a plan, and whatever her plan is, I definitely want to help her, with that. And
yeah, it's been weird. Like that's when I first started my channel, it was just like trying to explain the crazy shit that was going on after. But a year later, I'm just like, holy shit! Like, how did that come out of me? Like, like that takes a lot, and I didn't even realize that I could even do that. Like that in itself was pretty powerful, and that's when I was like, oh, okay. We were just talking about that. I was talking to Osirion 369, and he was just like giving me so much like power, making me see how powerful I am, and I'm like, what? He's like, you don't understand. Well, like what? but I see that within him, and now I see that within everybody that's doing this, because I'm recognizing that, yeah, it takes a lot. It takes a sense of knowing your own strength and the infiniteness of you. When everybody says that, like you're crazy or you don't know
Yeah.
anything or like whatever, and you're just like, nope, I know something you guys don't. Like, I just
Yeah,
know.
you just have to kind of wean some people out, or just block that out. And if you know what you're doing,
Mm-hmm.
just focus on what you're doing. And that's kind of what I've been doing.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so many people just thought, like, yo, you're gonna go crazy doing these psychedelic drugs you keep doing. And I'm like, it's not like that, you know. And but
Yeah.
and I just kept going and kept doing what I was doing, and I just stuck to. Really, I just stuck to what I guess believe in, because it was just once I did it, I knew that it wasn't just this bullshit. That it's not just seeing things,
Mm-hmm.
and it's so much deeper than even the psychedelics, and
it's the whole entire human experience. It's just that we have filters on our lens. That's what it is. We have filters, and a lot of people can't see. That's the illusion. That's when you are so trapped within this box, which is the matrix, which is your cube, which is your reality. And like that's the information that I've been getting recently. That's why I've been detaching. Another friends have been like telling me and showing me that's why I've been getting all this deeper understanding, because I've been detaching from the illusion. You know what I mean? And that is the ego death. Like, that's what it is. It's not the death of you. It's just detaching from that embedded, program or idea. You know what I mean? And it's just like, yeah. There is. You realize that you're basically deprogramming yourself, and once you make that initiative to help others, that's when it just becomes easier, I feel, and you become that steady stream of information, even though you might freak out from time to time.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes, it happens to all of us though.
Yeah.
But no, I definitely think it gets yeah, I agree with it gets easier. It's almost like when you have good intentions, it's like the whole consciousness, helps you with it. The universe will help you.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like if you're just, if you have selfish intentions, it's almost like the universe is like you're on your own with that one.
Yeah.
But I've been taking these things a little more spiritual too. What I've noticed, like, because I used to I don't know, I never took Mother Earth seriously, I guess you can call it, like, but it's like I literally have been like altering my life to, like, I don't know, if most people pray, but I only just, I prayed, I guess, Mother Earth, or Mother Consciousness, and it's like, whether I'm right before I eat food, I just say thank you to Mother Earth for allowing this food to be grown, and it's like I'm just noticing I'm starting to just take things a little more seriously, and I'm growing up, I guess, because when I first started doing psychedelics, I was still young. I was 20 years old, and
You're still young.
I mean, good point. I'm still young, but yeah, I'm young body, old soul.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, I feel you. No, that's your divine feminine energy awakening. That's what it is. Like, we are both male and female.
Right.
That's why, in the occult, there's the hermaphrodite, like the male and female. That's what it is. They're just taking it to a very material level. But all of us have that duality, and that's the Kundalini energy. Like, that's the feminine energy that's being restored and balanced. So yeah, it becomes highly scientific and occult and religious, even, like, crazy. It's spiritual, not religious, but spiritual.
No, I know what you mean, but it's
Yeah.
almost like religious tendencies. It's like slightly a little bit religious, because you do have, like, you do end up picking up almost like a ritual with it, or like just your thing. And I've even been looking into I somehow discovered this thing called the OMS,
Mm-hmm.
and apparently it might be, like, I don't know if it's legit or not. I'm still looking into it, but it might be a branch, the American branch of the UDV, which the UDV is the American Native American religion, basically, that they had to organize. But I've just been looking into things like that, because if it's legit and if it's good, and I've read their whole thing on their website, and I've even talked to some of them on Facebook, and they seem legit, and they seem to have this, I don't know, like you can use these things as your legal sacraments, basically. And I guess I was only really looking at it to, one, protect myself for a few reasons. I got kids and all that, so it's like if I be like, okay, this is my legal religion, and there's nothing really anybody can say really about it at that point. As I'm just taking my sacraments that I use to connect with, my creator or whatever.
No, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
And my friend Fi said if it turns out to be legit, to let him know. but
yeah, I can see that, because then you could take drugs legally.
Yeah, well, they only have the plants though. Like they only have the plant psychedelics.
Yeah.
But still.
No, but still, that's that's a powerful source of energy. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, what kind of plants do they use?
I think all their sacraments are San Pedro, the mushrooms, cool. Ayahuasca.
Yeah, that's cool.
I even think DMT, because I think they have something where it's like the things that are in the plants that are the part of their sacraments can be used as well. So it means extracts as well, or things like that. So
that's actually that's pretty cool.
That'd be really dope and really awesome if it really checks out. And and they have these things where you like little retreats. I think you can go to in Peru with their group or something like that, and that'll be awesome.
Yeah, I find that with these initiations, you do become, and I've also interviewed many people, and they've said that they've become very ritualistic with it, and it has become a very profound, like, spiritual experience, more than like just getting high, and it does mature you a lot more, and you do also get that sense of awareness and like sensitivity to like people and plants and animals and earth and like yeah, so you do develop that maturity, which helps me, because like I've been doing, because I saw a trip report.
Oh yeah, I wanted to talk to you about that too. I was thinking about that before we even recorded. But I tried chaga mushroom, and chaga mushroom. It wasn't good, psychedelic, right? Really, but it was really psychedelic-ish, because I felt connected on it. Like I felt extremely connected.
Yeah, I've taken chaga before. So what was your experience?
The first time I took it, I went on a bike ride, and it was just I started realizing that I just started noticing the trees more, the sky. I wasn't even paying attention to exactly where I was looking at. I was looking up at the sky, and I sat down for a second, like on the grass, like, and like it was like on this hill though, so I turned into this hill, and I sat down on the grass, and I was just sitting there, and it was just, that was the first time I really realized, okay, I like this, and, but then for some reason it kind of got intense on me. I don't know if it's because I was also I took kratom like an hour before I took that. So, when you mix herbs together, you create a synergy there. Yeah. But once it calmed down for a little bit, it was really connecting. I've noticed that when I was talking to my friend Fi, he was actually going through something, like something emotional, I guess. And I noticed that I could feel his emotion more. I could feel it. It was almost like I could see, when he was telling his story, I could almost like imagine myself being him through his story. And it was just, it gave like a nice, just a nice calming feeling with it, and a nice, but energy at the same time. And I love things like that are relaxing and energizing at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what chaga does for me as well. That's why I take Oramis, or I mean, I haven't taken it in a while, but Oramis is really good for that. You should check it out. You could make it
Yeah,
yours.
I've been dying to try Ormus.
You really should check it out. It's some cool stuff. You feel your light body. Sometimes, if you take high enough doses, like a tablespoon, you can have full on visions. Like, I had a full on vision of myself in a spacecraft. Like, and I was in charge. Like, I was part of the thing, all right? There was no, I was the alien, all right?
Wow.
Yeah. I was like on this craft in like Star Trek, like you see space, like, and you're in like this like center console. Yeah. Oh yeah. You can get really into different dimensions with Oramis. It's on high
That's awesome.
doses. Yeah. You could have some really crazy flashes. Like that's what they are, and like you feel it on like you just feel like straight up like galactic. You don't even feel human. Like you're
Ah.
like, what? Human body? That's weird. I'm space dust. Yeah.
I've heard a lot of good things about Ormus, and
Yeah.
that it's something about like this one dude said it was really connecting for him, and it was reminded him of the psychedelic love without like tripping.
You can trip if you have high enough doses and you like you close your eyes and like you start going within and you meditate on Ormus. You can have like flashes of like I told you I was like on a craft, like on a spacecraft, and I was like part of this thing, and like it was really crazy. I'm like, what time period am I even in? Like,
Uh,
you know what I mean? Like, where are we? What dimension? What galaxy? What universe? Even, like you could do that with Ormus on high doses. For me, when I even take like I take like it depends on what you take. Also, there are different strengths. There are different kinds. There are different salts that they use. So different salt mixtures create different effects and like stuff like that. So the kind that I took had a whole bunch of different salts from all over the earth. And it would take you into really psychedelic spaces without even like I felt like I was tripping. I felt like I was on acid, and it was very psychedelic, but it was thought. It was all thought.
so
Or
put you in like the psychedelic headspace, basically.
yeah, pretty much for me at least. Which sometimes it was quite terrifying, and like it had to be like this ego death, and like like you're in a mushroom or like an acid trip or something like that, and you're like, I just took 8 drops of this thing, Like, yeah, it's pretty. Some of them can be really intense, and I used to combine that with chaga, and what other type of mushroom I was taking? Reishi.
Ah.
Yeah, that was a really cool combination.
That's what I've noticed. I've had some really really interesting plant combinations,
Hmm.
and like certain plant combinations can really make a meditation
Hmm.
almost psychedelic and help you go deeper within
Yeah.
your mind. And and I've noticed that some of these plants by themselves don't do that though, but if you mix them together,
Hmm.
it creates a much more powerful impact.
No, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. That's why for a while I was just using that for like powerful insights, and like that could also be a good catalyst for that psychedelic experience. But right now, like I don't really need that. Like I would just use Oramis just to like feel happy, because it does put you in a very positive space in small doses. For me, at least, like I would use now maybe 1 or 2, maybe 3 drops, no more than that, in some water, and drink that. Really, program the water with good thoughts and intentions, and
Right.
good vibrations, or maybe use some geometries. Or like tones or whatever, like yeah, it gets interesting. You could start doing some pretty cool stuff um, with this technology, really, or learning how to use it. Yeah. I was really looking into like water and using water like to program or to like scrying and like all of this stuff. Like yeah, and that's the feminine energy again, and really looking into stuff like that. Um, Someone was saying that you could put water on your like bedside when you're trying to lucid dream or like remember have dream recall, and you could put the water there, and you could program the water. So when you drink the water, you could remember your dream. And you could do the
Ah,
same thing with crystals, you know. And like I was reading that, I'm like, that sounds really cool, you know. Like now your head goes into these spaces, and also like using like binaural beats and like different tones and frequencies, and you're just like, oh, I could use this not only to meditate but also to read.
yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? Like and like absorb information.
I was about to say, yeah, because listening to some binaural beats while you're like reading something,
Hmm.
it almost helps the information stick in there more. And
Yeah, of course.
sometimes, sometimes it can literally almost make me feel like I am the guy, writing the thing, and like I can imagine what it would be like to, if it's a story,
Yeah,
I can imagine what it would be like to live that story,
yeah, yeah,
especially with binaural beats.
yeah. So I've been getting into stuff like that, and understanding my visions more, like understanding what I'm seeing, different geometries. Like I just interviewed somebody that knows about like different sigils and like different like they're like game boards or like different like square sigils, and like I'm like, oh my god, that's what I was seeing, that's what I was seeing, like, and like you keep on understanding things a lot more, you know. Like that's why I've been almost like collecting data from everyone
Right.
to try
Right.
to
I mean, I feel
understand.
like that's what we're supposed to do, though. We're supposed to learn from each other and collect data from each other, and use that information. Because not one person will know everything. Even if they dedicated their life to a spiritual journey, they could miss a whole side of the spiritual journey that they just
Or
weren't paying attention to.
perspective. They
Yeah.
could miss a perspective, because even I was like reading something that somebody else had published, and I saw a perspective that he completely skipped over. Like he had so much like knowledge and understanding of something, but you could always miss something, you know. And sometimes you write something at one point, and somebody comes and they figure something else, or they expand upon it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's when you realize like ideas can't really be yours.
Right. Right. There is no your idea necessarily, as much as it's just the whole. Because I feel like all the information, it's the same concept where it's like if somebody invented something or discovered something on one side of the world, someone on the other side of the world would discover it not too long after. It's like everything's stored in the collective consciousness, and just because we don't realize we have access to the collective consciousness, doesn't mean we don't, because we still do.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
and I feel like that's what it's like when you get down, when you feel like you're getting downloaded with information. I feel like it's like you're getting downloaded it from the collective consciousness, and and we slowly get little upgrades here and there, slowly get a little knowledge here and there, but in meditation, sometimes I just in the meditation, I can just sometimes feel like it was like something I have to process afterwards, when it's like,
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
but
yeah. No, I completely feel the same way. Um, I've been also finding like just like everybody's been going through the same thing, and it's been helping me feel a lot more sane.
you feel like you're not you almost feel like you're gaining your mind instead of losing your mind.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. That's good. That's a good feeling. Because I'm like, oh wow, so I'm not crazy. That's good. It's good to know.
Right, though.
No, because like, and like I was explaining that to someone recently, about that. Like they're like, how are you so sure of yourself? How are you? I'm like, listen, the whole entire world's gonna like say you're crazy and not believe you. It's up to you to believe in yourself and find other people that believe in this same experience. Like, yes, you have to question everything, but when you find something that's truthful because it's collective instead of just like individual experience, yes, there is individual, but there's also collective as well. And once you stop identifying with that individual experience and start seeing the paradox of everything, and seeing that it could be everything at the same time instead of just denying everything. Yeah, it
Yeah.
becomes a little bit easier. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that's it. Because like somebody was like questioning me and questioned like, how do you know this is true? How do you know that is true? How do you know this is true? I'm like, well, I experience that schism every single day. I lose my mind for a little bit every day, but it becomes easier. Like I'm good at meditating, so like
Right.
it took some pretty heavy work. Like and it just gets easier with time. Like that's really it. But you
Yeah.
have to believe in something, and that is yourself. And like the people around you that like have the exact same information and are going through the exact same thing.
Mm-hmm.
When like I talk to a lot of people, and like their exact same even visions,
Right.
experiences, downloads. Okay, so I was talking, or I recently got a download on the full moon, seeing the moon, about the cube,
Mm.
like the Matrix, like the
Yeah.
actual cube. And I started looking at someone that I was going to interview actually in a few days, and he was talking about the same thing within weeks. And then I call my other friend, her son's extrasensory, and I say, hey, I got a download, the cube. And she just said, she didn't even let me finish. She just started explaining everything. She's like, yeah, we got that last month. Yeah. And I'm like, what?
Right.
Like, all right, now like I don't feel like I'm crazy anymore. Yeah, yeah, like that's what I mean by like finding people that can anchor you back to like focusing
Mm-hmm.
on, you know, not worrying about being crazy, but producing stuff and content,
Yeah,
you know?
and just doing you basically, and because I tend to do that. Like if I'm making music or if I want to make a song, I'll be like, well, I don't know if anyone's gonna like this song, so then I wouldn't make songs. Or same thing. Like I have like 8 videos right now that I need to edit, and I haven't. I'm like I don't even know if I want to upload these. They're not good enough. I feel like I messed up here. I didn't say something there, and just like critiquing myself. And I'm like I just have to have faith in myself and just be like, okay, I got this. I'm just gonna be me.
That's exactly me. Like I have two videos that are already done editing, and I'm just like, because every single time you upload something, it's quite scary because like you do have to have faith that people will still like you, which is weird because like it's just like, aren't I like supposed to be over this? Like I'm dying every single day. Why do I even care?
Right. I've just like completely just not really. I don't really care anymore what
Yeah.
people think. I guess it's more about what I feel, what I know, true to myself.
Yeah. And I
And
find like that actually like with time it's become a lot easier. Like, like I said, like after you look back and you're like, oh wow, like I put some effort in there, and like people start, validating that, and you're just like, but you have to stay focused. Like that's not that's not, like those are just things that come along with knowing yourself.
yeah, yeah.
Like that's it.
With everything I've been doing lately, I've been so like tunnel visioned on
Yeah.
just everything that's in my mind that it's like I don't really, I can't even realize what's in somebody else's mind.
Yeah.
Somebody
Well,
might be saying, you're crazy, you're not going to do this, or that's not going to happen, that's not true,
I
and
find
it's
what's going on is we're combating the false programming. That's all.
ooh,
That's what's going on here. So of course
good way to look
everyone,
at it.
yeah, that's exactly what's going on. People are programmed to think in that herd-like mentality, and like anybody that doesn't conform or does something a little outside of the box is called crazy.
Uh-huh.
Jim Carrey, perfect example.
Exactly, perfect example. Because it's not like Jim Carrey lost his mind; he found his mind.
Well, whatever he's going through is highly like like it's something that's really deep, and like he has to experience that. But like when people start talking like that, you automatically become crazy. Or
Right.
like people don't want to go there, and it's just like, what, that's cool. I'm not gonna fall for the illusion.
Uh-huh. Right.
Like that's it. Like that's what I say. Like I'm very honest about everything because that's how things should be,
Right.
and a lot of people don't like that as well. Honesty is just like too much, and I don't care.
Hmm. Right. I had a conversation with Aaron from the Awakened Brave. He has a
Mhm.
YouTube channel.
Yeah,
And he kind of helped me kind of realize that I need a backbone. You can't
yeah,
just be completely egoless
yeah,
and completely and let people walk all over you and just be nice about it and
of
be like love
course.
is all that exists and
We
you
were
know
just talking about that. We were just somebody said like that hate and like suffering, all that, it was a sword, and it has to be polished and it has to be understood, and you use that for truth, and like that's how you become knowing, and you don't take anything because you have a higher awareness. Like
Mhm.
that's all, it's coming from a higher state of awareness. And the
Yeah.
more we work on consciousness, the more aware we become. That's what this is. And that's when you
Yeah.
become more knowing within your words. Yeah. So what was he saying? I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, no, you're good.
So awaken brave.
Nah, he's just it's mainly just like his personality, I guess. Like his personality is just he didn't just because he's done psychedelics and he understands he's felt the love with psychedelics. He didn't necessarily let it alter just him. He's still him. Even though he's still on a spiritual path in a way, he's just still him. And I kind of learned from that. Just and learned from just watching his videos, and I learned I can still have a backbone and be spiritual. You don't have to
Yeah.
be love all the time, and love is the answer. Because humans still get mad, humans still get sad. That's just part of the human body and the human emotions that the body has.
Well, like you said, it's just energy
Yeah,
and energy manipulation.
yeah, yeah.
So like I find anybody that's doing this has that balance of ego and selflessness, and sees the whole paradox of everything, and sees that they need to be strong in their conviction,
Yeah.
because we are steering humanity to an awakening. It's what's
Right,
going
and it
on.
doesn't and it's not really good if you don't believe in yourself 100%, or these things are true, but yet you be like, maybe, you have to kind of 100% just know. You can't
Yeah.
think, you have to know, and then once you know, it's like, then when you tell somebody else about it, there's no doubt in your words or your concepts or your ideas or your views on life or what life is, or it's almost just a knowing, and this is what's true to yourself. So
Yeah.
that's why you're just telling somebody else, because it's just what's true to yourself.
That's exactly it. And also, it's just like there is a transparency with the psychedelic, you know, um, perspective. Like that's what also we were talking about. I was interviewing another psychedelic YouTuber, and they're like, "What if like we were all transparent, like octopus?" And I'm like, "Well, we kind of are, because that is that like I know people that are doing the work, and they're having deeper understandings or awareness. They know my situation and I know their situation. You know what I mean? Because everything is very transparent, or it's becoming, because the illusions or even the filters are coming off.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I feel like it's more. We're all just getting more connected. I mean, we're all part of the same consciousness. So when you're a part of trying to spread that message,
Yeah.
you're gonna need transparency. And it might be a little too much transparency sometimes, and but it's just about being honest and really just saying what's going on in your life and what's going on with your spiritual path, and the downloads that we get downloaded with, the experiences we experience. It's like none of it is necessarily our experience, because we're sharing it with others,
Hmm.
and now it's their experience as well because they know it.
It's fractal. Yeah. So, what are the downloads you've been getting?
I've been getting a lot of I guess in meditation, learning how to just letting go is like DMT taught me how to let go, like I guess the easiest. But with meditation, I've learned that I can let go with meditation as well, and it's almost like there's a point in a meditation where I can like almost choose to let go, and then I can like almost start joining the psychedelic world. It's like you start, getting deeper in the psychedelic world, or I can choose to stay there and almost work out some things in my mind about my emotions or about my past or about, something that if somebody did something wrong to me, forgiving them in that moment, or, little things like that. That's just been really helping me, I guess, grow up as a person, and yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's been my dream space, actually. My meditations, they are more like activating chakras and like feeling power and like also getting like thought streams. Like that's what happens in my meditations. Like all of a sudden I'll get a thought and like that will be my video. You know what I mean? Like, and I'll be like, oh, that's my lesson for today, or like that's my inner standing for today. And I
Right.
find that when I go and I look at my friends' videos, they're usually the same. Around the
Right.
same time. Yeah, yeah. And that's when I realized, oh, it's not just my experience, It's like that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So, what about your business? Like, what's going on with that? Are you getting that off the ground?
Everything's basically done. I've been debating on whether I was going to launch it today or not. I'll probably wait until next week because I'm going to switch my bank, because I set up a business bank account yesterday, but the bank that I'm at, they have a $500 minimum that needs to stay in my bank account at all times. And like, I'm so low on money right now, it's crazy. This is probably the lowest I've been on money in a long time. Like, I only have like probably $100 to my name. And like, that's including the money that I made from the business this month that I'm going to, that now I get, because everything's official, I get taxed, New York State tax and all this other shit. So it's just trying to balance that. But I'm supposed to be getting like a business loan basically in the middle of this month. So once I get that, everything will be set. I'll be good. I could probably launch the website, whenever. But like, I'm waiting for this deal with the website, because you get a deal basically if you pay for a year in advance. So I'll probably pay for the year in advance for it, and get the $200 cheaper.
Yeah.
And then I'll be good, because I built the website by myself. Like, I did all that by myself.
Good.
Yesterday was really hectic because I ran around all day long, trying to get this stuff done for it. I set up I can now accept credit cards now, and that's kind of why I had to get a business bank account, because I had to link that up with my business bank account. And just trying to get the legal issues, taken care of before I really launch it. And
That's awesome.
But
so
yeah.
what you're going to be selling? What types of herbs?
I'll be selling kratom, janistema, cacao, blue lotus, probably Damiana, and probably wild daga as well. And I'll be adding more. Like, as time goes on, I'll be adding more and more herbs. Because I have this wholesale vendor that I'm going to be going through, well, possibly, because the way his stuff is set up, you have to apply for an application to become a customer of his, basically. And not everyone gets approved, to be a customer. Like, the only people that can go through here, you have to have a legit business, you have to have a business certificate, you have to, like, it's really weird how this guy has his things set up, but...
Well, when selling that type of stuff, yeah, it's really good to have everything in order, so, you don't have any problems. So I understand that. But yeah, that's good. I mean, that makes you more legitimate, and like, they can't really mess with you because you have all of your certificates. It's kind of like how it works.
Especially because right now I still live, like, I kind of live in the hood part of my town, like, so like, I just want to make sure everything's, done legit before I start, selling it. Because I see a lot of people that sell kratom.
Yeah.
And a lot of these people don't even have business certificates, and there's, and I'm like, oh man, like, you guys aren't even paying taxes, and that's how you get fucked.
Yeah.
And that's how you get audited and then go to federal jail because you didn't pay taxes. And I just want to make sure I do this right, because I've seen a YouTuber that just got audited, and he kind of ruined his entire life, and now he owes like $300,000 because he didn't know, like, a small thing that he didn't know that he was doing with his taxes every year, and now he's like risking losing his house, losing his car, losing everything. And I kind of learned from that. From watching that video, I learned I cannot make any mistakes before I launch this. So I was like, I got to make sure everything is straight and I know exactly what I'm doing. Because I had the idea, like, okay, I want to sell plants and herbs. Plants and herbs have helped me so much in my life, and, so I want to help others, so I want to sell plants and herbs. I thought it was just as simple as, hey, I want to sell plants. And it's like, then you realize, no, you can't sell without, giving taxes to the government. And you have to know about taxes. And if you have to write everything down that you sell and write everything down that you buy. And if your money is equal, like if you bought more for the business than you made, then I think then you get taxes back. But if you make more than you bought, I think you have to pay in taxes at the end of the year. And I don't know. It's just a lot of things that I really don't know because I know nothing about business. I'm just a guy that has a passion for plants and herbs, and I love Mother Nature, and I just want to help other people to love Mother Nature. And so I'm glad that I have a business mentor, though. I have this guy who's a mentor who's been helping me understand a lot of the parts that I don't understand, so I don't get screwed in the end.
Yeah, that's pretty important. I'm kind of like you, like, I don't understand things.
Yeah, exactly. I was at the bank yesterday. She's saying, "Do you have this and this?" I'm like, I was so confused on everything she said. I'm like, I have a business mentor that's usually, tells me what to do. So, like, I don't know.
Yeah. No,
but I'm going to be setting up another meeting with him, though, so I can have a long talk about everything I do not know and everything I need to know before I just start accepting credit card orders and start, doing this.
Yeah.
But for now, I've just been accepting. Now I can accept, like, real orders here in my hometown. Like, if somebody needs, any plants or herbs here, I can accept orders here because at least it's in cash. I don't have to deal with the bank at the moment, and all that. But it's still more complicated than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's kind of life. Like, that's, like, the whole entire system. You have to, like, do that adult shit, which I'm realizing, like,
Adulting.
I don't know how to do that shit. Like, fucking pay people to do that shit. Like, I don't know. I can't. Yeah, I feel you on that. Still feel like I'm 5.
Well, I did yesterday when I'm sitting there trying to make this all legit, and I'm like, oh man, this is going to be complicated, but as long as I just keep at it and keep, focused, I feel like I'll get it.
Yeah, I think that's, like, really important for, like, especially, like, young people or people, like, that are just starting out, like a lot of us. Like, we have to start adulting. And also, like, like, on the spiritual path, because a lot of people don't realize that you have to do both, to, like, have any type of, influence, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and, well, having kids definitely helped me, I guess, first started adulting. I had to be responsible, and it really helped me grow up. But I never really, I used to just want to be a $1 million rapper. I wanted $1 million record deal. That's all I wanted as a kid. And then once I found the spiritual path, I'm like, I was completely anti-money at that point. Like, money is the devil. Money is evil. Keep its darkness. Keep it away from me. It just causes the ego to grow.
Yeah. It just depends on where your intent is.
Right. But then my friend Fi kind of made me realize, like, you need money. Still, you need. It's something that it's gonna help. It's gonna help us get the message across. Like, and I also watched this one video where this chick was talking about, how much people can you help if you're in a position where you can't even help yourself? And and at that time I was, like, in a position where I couldn't help myself, and I was like, that is so real. Like, and it really hit me, and I was like, damn, like, I can't be completely anti-money. I just have to have good intentions. That's all.
Well, that's also
just don't lose myself.
That's also when like a lot of people that are practicing more spiritual or conscious based businesses, they're talking about like investing, like using energy in the right way, like for the right thing, and using intent for the collective and stuff like that. Yeah. So it gets spiritual. Everything is. Yeah. So you could kind of like use that for good, and like you said, to bring out a message.
Right.
They're doing the same thing.
It's definitely, I feel like it's definitely about a balance, though. Like, life is always about a balance. Like, everything I feel like lately that comes down in my life, whether it's about emotions or dealing with things or being a dad or just on a spiritual, it's always about balance. And a lot of times through life, I've been completely unbalanced, but
I feel you. Like, I recognize when I'm unbalanced. It's terrifying, but you're just like, ugh, I'm aware of it. And like, you become just more aware of it.
Once you're aware of it, then you can begin to change it, you know, because if you're not aware of something, then it's not going to change. Because I've noticed, like, back before psychedelics, I wasn't aware of my behavior. I wasn't aware that the way I thought and the actions I was doing was really, one, inappropriate, or like just having that much anger and expressing it like that, you know, to my mom and like things like that. It was just inappropriate, and I just wasn't aware.
Yeah.
And I didn't really have anybody to tell me.
You had a filter. We all do. We all have different filters on us, and it really, unless you are doing the psychedelics, which a lot of people don't, because it's looked down upon, you know, like it goes against everything. Yeah, so I find
that stigma on it, and we grew up. It's like we're grown up to think that psychedelics are the enemy.
Yeah.
When it's one thing that can probably, you know, help us
into higher states of, or the filter is just coming off, and like you finally reach clarity. Yeah, and you see your actions and the actions of people around you, and you see everything for what it is. And then that's when you have to be nicer. Like, I catch myself when I'm being annoying and mean.
Yeah. No. I mean, but that's anybody, though. And like, sometimes I catch myself even in a conversation with somebody, and if they did something that, you know, was, I don't know, unconscious, or just something that was like, okay, I just caught that, and I'd say to myself in my head, like, I caught that, you know, and it's just like sometimes I analyze things too much, but, you know, I think it's all about just, you know, that's just everybody, though, and that's just dealing with the human things that we just, you know, we're slowly evolving. Yeah. And we can only really evolve one part at a time. He just gave me that and was like, here, try it. So I was like, that's dope. Because I've never had live resin before.
Yeah, neither have I.
And I can't wait. Like, that's why I've been like, if my business really does do good enough where it's like I don't need to get another job, you know, because I've been working at this pizza place too this whole time as well for like the past 4 months almost. But if it works out, I really want to go to a legal state. Like, I need to go to somewhere where cannabis is legal, because
go to Colorado.
Yeah, I feel like that's just too typical, you know? It's just everyone moves to Colorado now.
So where do you want to go?
I don't know. I don't know. I might just end up picking a destination there or something, you know? And I want to get a few things aligned first, you know? It'll probably be next year or the year after, but hopefully maybe by then it'll be legal here in New York.
Aren't they working on that?
Yeah, and then they just keep saying it. I'm hoping that 2018 is when it'll actually happen. Like, maybe when the new year comes around. But it's just, I feel like if we're in a place where Mother Nature is not accessible to us, we're not in a land of the free. It's not free if Mother Nature's illegal. And it just doesn't make sense to me.
Well, regulations, stuff.
Yeah, no, I mean, authority in general doesn't really make sense. Me and my friend Fi were having this. He had this trip, this LSD trip, where he got arrested. He ended up getting he didn't get arrested, but he got taken to a hospital.
Oh my god!
And like he was given some things, tied to a bed basically,
what?
and but he said at the point though, in his mind at the point he was like authority didn't make sense to him.
Of course.
Because authority is not real, and he was like, authority is just all the laws and all these things, and authority stems even back all the way back to the 10 Commandments, but like just the fact that you cannot do something, it's like humans. I mean, technically we could do whatever we want, but I feel like we should do whatever we want with good intentions, without harming anybody else, and if it's not harming anybody else, then there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
Especially weed. Especially with weed.
I mean, that's like the rebellion, but that's what everybody feels because they are controlled and they don't like it.
No, but I mean, I feel like another human should not be able to control another human because what gives him the right? And it's also kind of the same thing with judges. And I don't know, my dad used to talk a lot about things like this when I was a kid.
Yeah.
He was one of those guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's natural law. That's reality. But like even when I go through like customs when I was going through Canada, and I was like just going to visit a friend, and like I had just done DMT, like a month before, so like I was still on that frequency, like so like I went through customs and I felt just the dark energy, it was like really dark, and it was like control and manipulation, and like yeah, like I felt it, and like it didn't feel good. And
no, yeah, and for me it's so crazy because like my friend James told me I used to he was like the first person I did DMT with.
Yeah.
Me and him, we smoked it together. Both didn't know what the hell we were getting ourselves into, but he basically told me he was like he hasn't done DMT since, and he was like he got back into the same old life, the same like in the streets and doing all that shit. But he was like, it's almost like he was talking to me, but he was like, it's almost like you never left that place. You never left it. Like he was like, even though you're not on DMT right now, you sound like you are. He was like, you never left that mind space. And I'm like, for me, it's like been a process of trying to keep myself in the mindset of DMT without being on DMT, or keep myself, because like when I'm on psychedelics, I almost feel like I'm connected to my higher self. Yeah. And like some of the things that I'll say, it's like, yo, how the hell would I know that, or how the hell would I say that, or and it's just something that my higher self would say, I guess, or something like that I would say if I was 90 years old, like an old version of me would say.
Yeah.
But I've been trying to learn how to keep myself in that mind space.
Yeah.
And I've been doing that with plants and herbs. Like there's not a day, I guess, that goes by that I don't take a plant, but sometimes the plants change. Yeah. Like the other day, I didn't smoke weed for 30 hours. And I was trying to make it to 48, but my friend Fi, he just had to hand me the weed, but it was just random though. It was nothing like, it was not like I had to not smoke. It was just I just randomly said, I'm just not gonna smoke. There's no.
Yeah, I mean, I use weed. That really helps me get into meditative states or like that psychedelic state. Like that's a catalyst. Like I could easily feel like I'm tripping just because I smoked. And I just thought something, and I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I have to ground myself. Yeah, but that's a plant as well, and like that's really psychedelic for me, at least. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that cannabis is a minor psychedelic, and at higher doses, it becomes just a full-blown psychedelic. If you ate two
Yeah.
really strong pot brownies and then did 5 dabs, you're gonna be in an extremely psychedelic place.
Yeah, they've been coming out with some strong shit. Like I've been looking on all of these like Facebook and Instagram. Like
I mean, I like my dude always be bringing me all this crazy shit, and I'd be like, I had this wax pen that was like pre-packed with like the most beautiful tasting weed I've ever had. Like it was the best tasting weed experience I've ever had. And then he like bring me this live resin, brings me all this shit, and I'm like, damn, bro, like. He'd be having some crazy exotic shit, and I'm like, I can't wait until weed is legal here. You know,
Yeah.
and he's also working on getting pure THC, like the pure crystallized white powder crystal of THC. And so I'm gonna try that as well. That'll be pretty dope.
Yeah, definitely. I've
But
I've never tried that. I just smoke weed.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I've done like the vape. That's cool. It gets you pretty high. Some of the stuff.
weed and wax is definitely a different type of high because it's
Yeah.
different cannabinoids. It's like you're separating the cannabinoids.
Mhm.
I feel like the vape pens they're not as intense of a high, but it's more of a better flavor. Um, and I've had a lot of weird exotic waxes and butters and shatters and just everything that you can extract from weed that you can imagine. I've probably smoked or at least tried. Or that was back when that was before I got into any other plant. Because before any other plant, cannabis was like my best friend at that point. You know, I was just there was not a time where I wasn't smoking, you know, and I would smoke back then. I was smoking Dutches, so I was smoking like 18 to 20 Dutches a day, and that was back when I had a studio.
Yeah.
So I had this recording studio, and they used to always come down and smoke, and I'd record their music as long as they had, you know, some weed to smoke, and like, and then they would always bring me some crazy shit to smoke instead, and you know, it was wild back then, but once I found kratom, I kind of relaxed on the weed because weed doesn't help me get motivated as much as some other herbs do. Because like I'm doing so much with my life. It's like I just got fired from my job, but I mean that was okay because I was gonna quit anyways. But like I was working this job 3 days a week, and I would get up at 3:30 in the morning. So I would have time to do things for my website because I'm building my website by myself. So I'm, you know, trying to build that. I would watch some videos on like how to get successful or how to stay motivated videos or something to get me pumped up and ready for the day. And you know, then I'd try to edit some videos or record some videos or do some things, and then I'd go to work. While I'm at work, I'd have my phone set up so I'm listening to Terrence McKenna. While I'm sitting there pressing the dough out, watching some Terrence McKenna documentaries, and like downloaded some 5-hour talks of him, just sitting there listening to him. Because in the morning at my job, I was there by myself. You know, and I was just making the dough and making the sauce and things like that. But
so you were using your time.
But it was distracting me. Well, that's what they said. That's why they fired me though, because I was starting to mess up on the dough because I'm sitting there watching this, you know, more focused on, you know, what Terrence is saying, or I was watching some like how to be successful videos or how to you know, just become better at what you do, whatever you do, how to get better at it, and how to be tunnel visioned on it, and you know, not let anything else bother you. And I watched things like that every day while I was working, and.
Well, I mean, that's like, but you already know, like, that's the only way to be. I find, like, it's just like constantly working, even though it feels horrible and difficult, you still have to do it. Yeah, no, I completely feel you.
Yeah.
That's why I kept on doing videos when, like, everything was changing, because I'm like, I can't stop just because everything is chaos right now. Like you can't stop. Like you just can't stop. Like that's not even a reason to, because it's so much bigger than that.
Yeah.
Than identifying with your illusion.
I definitely feel like I had this meditation where I had this realization. It was kind of another realization I had on DMT as well. But it was like I had a plan before I came here. And I was like, I think I'm doing what I planned. And it was like this thing where it was like, I think went to no, you know you're doing what you plan to do. And now you just got to do it, and I've just been trying to just keep myself tunnel visioned on my goals. And,
Yeah.
and sometimes, like, so that's why I'm like, sometimes I don't even really sleep at night. I mean, I sleep from midnight to 3 in the morning and then wake up and continue doing what I was doing. But,
Yeah.
it was like that for like a month, working this job. That's why I was so glad that they fired me, because I was like, I couldn't do that anymore. Now I have all day to actually focus on my goals and my things that I want to do.
Yeah, no, I can't not sleep. I can't do it because I do a lot of my work in my sleep.
I don't dream. See, I don't like to dream at all. What's funny is every time I dream, I've had horrible nightmares since I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And if I don't smoke weed before I go to bed, I will have a horrible nightmare, to the point where it's like, I'll see things happen to my kids or things like that. That's just horrible nightmares.
Mm-hmm.
That I'm like, fuck that. I'm just going to do my spiritual journeys and my meditations and psychedelics. I'm going to smoke my weed before I go to bed. So, because if I smoke weed before I go to bed, it's a blackout sleep. And it's like I just immediately sleep, and then it's like I wake up the next morning like it was like just complete blackout.
Yeah, I mean, I do have some really horrible dreams, but I always learn from them. Like some of them are pretty tough. Some of them are really tough.
Because I also feel like if I'm running around in a dream at night and then running around all during the day, I feel like I'm not resting at all.
Yeah.
So that's why I've been trying to just, I always smoke weed before bed, so I just black out sleeping.
Yeah. I mean, for me, like, being lucid and also doing work and everything, it's become, like I said, a practice. Like, you train yourself to do this, and it becomes easier. It becomes easier to deal with those death situations or, like, horrible situations. Like, I'm constantly like tripping in my dreams and like doing horrible things sometimes and taking all these drugs, or like what am I doing?
I smoked DMT in a dream before. That was crazy.
I had multiple DMT and ayahuasca dreams. I've had multiple LSD dreams.
Wow.
I've had multiple mushrooms dreams. I just had a dream that I was doing ayahuasca, and another one that I was doing what is it, MDMA. And, like, I was mixing different powders. I didn't even know what the fuck I was doing. I'm like, what are you doing? Don't do it. Don't do it. I'm taking it. I'm like, and then I feel like I'm ODing. I'm like, fuck, what? Why do I have to be lucid right now? This sucks. And, like, it's just this ego death. And then I wake up and I'm like, all right, what do you have to learn from that situation? What are you doing in your dreams? Like, yeah, it's the dark night of the soul. It's processing that energy, like it's learning things. But then some dreams, they're pretty awesome. Like, I have like a conversation, half awake, half conscious, and like lucid, and like I'm just having this like vibration or like this frequency and like this conversation about my problems. Like that's what I also did when I just woke up today. It was like a 2-part like just healing or like just thoughts, working on like your inner thoughts. And like I thought I was always having a conversation with myself. Someone told me that sometimes it's like different entities that you're talking to, which I could confirm because like I've had different entities like go in my dreams and like teach me things and like bring information to me. And like I learned from that.
My friend Erica said that same thing. My friend Erica said her dreams are like her shamanic journeys, because for some reason, like she can take psychedelics, but sometimes like she's never broken through with DMT, even though she smoked it before. But she says a lot of her breakthroughs are through her dreams.
Yeah. You could definitely I've been like sat down, given ayahuasca, had to die, had to be cool with it, had to ride that like wave of in between like just immortality and just feeling that like energy. and it's too much, and I can't do anything because I'm asleep.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. That's, and then you're like, oh, I could actually do it, and you're doing it over and over with different substances in your dreams. Yeah, like it's interesting, and then like different like entities like contact you with like understanding of like different things you're doing. Like it's like an ayahuasca healing. So like you understand why you're being a dick.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, you understand like why things are happening, and then sometimes you get like information on geometry or like subconscious like information that you don't even understand, like things on like tarot, like things on like, you know, just like sciences and like different like like a lot of information that you could pull from these spaces. And once you start like training your mind to become lucid and like have that fully awakened state of being aware and like pulling information into your everyday life, and it's just like that's what I'm trying to do, you know. And I'm pretty sure just even talking about it right now, like I'm gonna have a crazy, you know, understanding or experience, because it's what usually happens.
Right. I mean, that kind of sounds like what I do in my meditations in a way.
Yeah.
Like I've been teaching myself how to break through into a different awareness in a meditation, basically.
Yeah, I also do that with meditations. I do that with meditations and thoughts. Like I'll be in meditation, then I'll have a thought, and that's a breakthrough, and then I'm like, I feel like I'm on acid. Yeah. Yeah.
For me, it's like I mean, there's different types of meditations I do. It really depends on the intention of my meditation. If I want to work out some shit, you know, I'll be sitting there, you know, having some thoughts, working out some shit. But like a lot of times, I'll go completely silent in the mind, and like a lot of times I've been working with I've been working in the spirituality part of these things for a little bit. And like I always talk to, I call her Mother Ayahuasca, because I met her one time on a DMT trip, and I got the sense that was Mother Ayahuasca. And really ever since then, I just, if I was to, you know, the thing I think before I eat food is Mother Ayahuasca. The thing I talk to in my head would be, I call Mother Ayahuasca. I just call her out. I ask, you know, for her guidance or whatever, you know, I need in that moment in time. And I've done that with DMT as well. Like on DMT, I'll ask for her guidance, and, you know, it'll help me stay focused and be able to take more out of it and remember more. And it's like it's comforting knowing that if I have a bad moment in any trip, that she'll always be there for me to comfort me and to watch me. She's always there no matter what. And I don't know if that she is the consciousness of the planet, or if that she is the creator. Is that she the consciousness of the whole? All I know is that she is a she, and she's there for me. So that's why I say.
Yeah, I've heard a few men say that, and like I've also like witnessed that. Like it is a very feminine energy that we're dealing with. You know, like that's why there's been the suppression of the feminine energy, whether it's in the male or the female. Like it's just, you know, it's just an energy that they've like been trying to stop. You know, that flow of, you know, and we're recognizing it and we're working with that, because there's also a very masculine energy, you know, and a feminine energy, and we're working with that and balancing that state. Yeah, I've been recognizing that a lot too. That's really the balance for me, because I work with those two energies a lot. Yeah, I've been, that's more in my meditations, you know, like I see star tetrahedrons a lot, you know, and that's like, I see a lot of like different geometries, like they're squares, and like you're going through squares, and they're like cubes, and just like different grids, you know, like that's like the black and white checkerboard. I've been seeing swastikas, like the Hindu ones, and like grids of them, like just a whole entire, like almost 2D, and it looks like in like colors, different chakra colors, and sometimes it could be full on visions of like things I don't even understand.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean by that, 100%. Because sometimes I'll have like different colors like coming at me almost, or sometimes it'll be like different shapes and different objects and some just weird things.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to explain those type of like meditation visions. I've noticed are a lot different than psychedelic visions. Even though they're similar, they're still different.
Yeah. They're in like this like almost like line, like it's like old computer style like colors of like chakras. That's exactly what I see in like those meditative, like half lucid states of like the third eye vision where you just see. And sometimes they can become quite vivid and like you're just like, whoa, you know, and like they're in flashes and like you have a deeper perspective on things. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Or like sometimes like you could remote view and like you're in a place you don't even know like where you are. And it's like sometimes in another time, another dimension, another country, you know, and you don't really know where you are. Like that's pretty cool. You can like pop into places like that, you know, when you're meditating. Yeah, I've done that before.
Yeah, I definitely think that we're just, we're learning what we really are capable of doing, really, and hopefully, people like Terrence, people like, other people that have gone, taken this and explained their knowledge, because a lot of people have done psychedelics, but a lot of people are scared to talk about their experiences, though, because, they don't want to get looked at like they're crazy or the one thing I get all the time is, you have kids, like,
Yeah.
and it's just like, it's sad we live in a society like that because, the natives, they know about it just growing up as kids. It's just normal life. And it's supposed to be normal life because, what's more normal than plants? What's more normal than, Mother Nature? What's more normal than that?
Yeah, definitely. I feel you. There is a sort of stigma attached to it, but I think that's just people that aren't aware. I mean, there's a lot of research. There's a lot of doctors looking into this. They're trying to make mushrooms legal. I mean,
yeah.
They're getting on board. I think it's just educating people and just telling them to really deal with it because it's becoming legal and, we can't really demonize drugs because some people don't know how to use them.
No, right. And but the right education, though, they probably would know how to use them. But I really think the problem happened with the whole with Reagan, with President Reagan, when he said the whole "say no drugs." When you just say no to drugs, without educating,
it's
just
the
wasn't.
The older programs. Like seriously, the only people that have a problem with this are the older people.
Yeah, but I mean, eventually, things happen anyways, and we'll become the older people,
and then, but we're already like, I mean, I hope there'll be a big enough population. I mean, it was before, but like, fucking life happened to them, and I think just humanity really wasn't ready. But I find that a lot of people are very open about it. It's just information wasn't out there at the time. Now with technology, it's a different story.
It's completely different now. Information is just spreading like wildfire, and
so I think that's what we have working for us because like that's the one thing I recognize. My grandmother was from like she was a teenager in the 60s, and she was like, we just didn't have technology. Like, you don't even know what I would have been if I had technology and, like, I had options and, like, I didn't have to get married and, you know what I mean? Like, I would have been somebody completely different. And I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much the case, So, like, I find we can spread these ideas faster because Terrence, he was just, like, using the internet with, like, email and, like, just little circles, just emailing people. He wasn't doing this, like, on a huge scale. I mean, yeah, he was writing books, but, like, only a small population in the 1980s and 90s really knew about this information.
Right. It's not like Terrence McKenna was big when he was actually saying these things because he really wasn't.
Yeah.
It really took somebody to spread his knowledge on the internet, and then that's when it started spreading like wildfire.
Yeah.
But I think he had that idea, though. I think he kind of knew, and that's why he recorded a lot of things.
Yeah, exactly, because he was talking about it in his lectures. And he was like, this is going to be, only the internet's going to let this be timeless, and like people will just hear the message. And it doesn't matter what generation, but it'll be still an echo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what he was basically saying. And I find that's what helped me, like, steer me, and like, it was just collecting information and like other people on this path, and like we're all just like looking at the same thing and realizing, okay, like it's under what's really going on. You have to take, in that, and like finding yourself, and like everybody's different.
Yeah.
Everybody's different. Like you said, like one person can't really do everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody has their
and
own
it's really
special
going to take the
gifts.
collective to really make an impact.
I mean, yeah. You also think you have different, like, countries that you also have to target, because things that people listen to and watch in America isn't what another person will be watching, anywhere around the globe. I see with like the people that watch my videos, it's 80% in America, and in like Canada, UK, and that's really it. And some other places, but still, so you have to have people in those countries doing the same thing. You know what I mean? Yeah.
That are going through a similar path that understand this shit, basically. Yeah. And so, like, they're really into only they like, LSD is their thing that they do. And they only do it, like, full moons or on the equinox, usually on equinoxes, things like that. And
well, yeah,
and I'm like,
it's exactly how I do it as well. When I do DMT, always on the moon phases.
Right.
And that's when I get the most information. Like, oh my god, it's way too much. But yeah, I do the LSD experience the same way, and it's just all of this information in high doses. And like, when I take 2 tabs, and it's like a full moon, I'm going to be downloaded with some information. You bet your ass.
Yeah. I'm actually thinking about, there's 3 psychedelics technically, that I want to do within the next month or 2, but like, I might do one of them probably next week. I don't know if you know what coleus is.
No, please tell me.
Coleus is a plant that you can actually buy at Walmart right now. You can buy it really anywhere. Most people grow it in their gardens and stuff because it has a beautiful, colorful leaf. And the leaves are nice and colorful.
Yeah.
Well, coleus is psychedelic.
Mm-hmm.
There's not much research on it. People don't really know much about the molecule in it or why it's psychedelic. Mm-hmm. But the effects of coleus is pretty interesting because I've only taken it once. Yeah. And you just eat the leaves, basically. You eat the fresh leaves. Mm-hmm. The most worst tasting thing I've ever ate, though. But it was just interesting because things, like, you feel really small, but everything gets huge. Everything gets really big. And, like, people were saying that it was a nice ego check for them because it checked their ego to make them realize that they're a lot smaller than they think they are, and it made their ego feel small. And, like, when I took it, my friend walked in, and all of a sudden he started growing, like, he started looking like a giant. And I started feeling so small, and everything around me did the same thing. But I felt so connected to like, I was looking at this tree outside, and I could almost feel and taste the texture of the tree, and I could feel the tree's emotion. It was really interesting. So I'm probably going to do that again. I just got some Hawaiian baby woodrose seeds, and these things are said to be extremely powerful. They contain LSA, which is the precursor and the natural precursor to LSD. But these things are really, really strong because 3 seeds is a threshold dose, and like, you're not supposed to take more than 10 seeds because it's really, really intense. Like, really, really intense, scary, terrifying ego deaths.
I don't like
so
that.
I'm going to work my way up with that one.
That's like every day for me.
No, right. But I'm going to work my way up with that one because there's some slight danger with that one too, though.
Yeah.
It's just, it has vasoconstriction. It can cause vasoconstriction at like higher doses.
Yeah.
So so I'm just gonna be careful with that one. And then I really want to try San Pedro as well because I've never done mescaline.
Yeah.
So, and I've heard a lot about mescaline. I have this. I added this shaman on my Facebook, and this shaman, like he taught. You know, he lived. You know, his grandfather was a shaman, and I think he's like just trying to, like, he's a shaman in training. He's not really a shaman yet, but I've been trying to talk to him more about some things, and also I've been trying to talk to a few other people like that because, you know, I've never done San Pedro, and a lot of these people are saying that San Pedro can really help you understand time and, like, really understand, like, you know, because I was trying to say that time doesn't exist, you know, and they're, like, saying it's not that time doesn't exist, it's that, you know, San Pedro would just help you understand time, basically, and I'm like, okay, so, you know, there's a few people that have said that now, so I'm like, I'm really just interested in trying that because it's going to have a different perspective than DMT, and a different perspective than ayahuasca, and a different perspective than mushrooms, because each psychedelic, I feel like it's just showing you a different perspective of the same place. Like, it's pretty interesting, though.
Yeah, that seems really interesting. I've never done it. I've never done San Pedro.
And San Pedro's legal. Hawaiian baby woodrose seeds are legal. Coleus is legal. All of these things are completely legal, which is funny. But you know, but yeah, it seems the government's really only concerned with making things illegal if people are abusing it or if people are using it too much, you know. Because it's the same thing with Datura. Datura is completely legal, and my neighbor grows it in their backyard. And Datura contains scopolamine, which is, you know, that drug you could just blow into somebody's face and shit.
Yeah.
But, like, that's legal because nobody's gonna take that and abuse it because it's just terrifying.
Yeah, that always reminded me of, like, the Lion King.
Yeah. That's funny.
But yeah, no, that must be. How is that? Have you ever done it?
No, I haven't. I've had it for a year, and I really wanted. I just haven't grown the balls enough to do it yet, because I've not heard one good thing about it.
Really?
Not one. I've not heard one good thing about it. So that's why I'm like, oh man.
What have you heard about it?
Well, basically that it's just straight delirium. It's so imagine that right now. Imagine you took the Torah today. It'd be like right now. This conversation never happened. We're really not having a conversation. It's just you in your room by yourself. It's really something like it mixes reality. Basically, it's not necessarily you're tripping. It's that things are happening and those things are real to you. And you know, there was one experience, you know, that I was researching that this guy thought he was outside, and he thought like he was in his apartment and stuff, and you know, it's just more of a delirium than a psychedelic. So that's why I'm just like, I don't know if I want to do that.
Yeah. I wouldn't want to go through that. That seems horrible.
Yeah, and you know, I'm just kind of giving my brain a little break from that aspect of things to get, like, you know, my business up and running, to get the physical aspect of things taken care of, so I can go back to do some more mental expansion and learn from the, you know, psychedelic plants.
Yeah, I feel you. That's why I take breaks. I can't really function when I do too much, you know, and like I don't take breaks. Yeah. Especially after DMT, like I don't know if I'm doing it in my dreams. Like that's the thing, you know. I'm like, I don't know if I need to do that anymore. Like I've experienced that, you know, and like I experienced dreams and like visions and like, so I'm like, it's already open, you know. You can learn from other plants, you know. That seems really interesting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I feel like, you know, give one teacher a break to learn from another teacher. And just it's
Exactly.
almost like I feel like I'm in different classes.
When I was doing LSD, like for a while, I'm like, oh man, like this is, I need to like drop this for a little bit. Like, if I want to ever have that experience, like that real experience with that again, because you could just like become, it becomes like this tolerance, and you're just like, I'm not really learning anything anymore. So I find you could do that when you just stick to one thing and you don't take breaks and like take other things and then take breaks from everything altogether. Because if you do stay in those like higher chakras, like you go crazy.
Yeah, yeah. You have to have something that grounds you. Like that's
Yeah.
why plants and herbs ground me to Mother Nature. Psychedelics connect me to the universe and ascend me instead of balance between them both. Is like really what's been keeping me keeping me balanced basically, and keeping me being able to do all these things that I'm trying to do, and not I guess lose my mind or even just give up with some of the physical things that I'm trying to do in life,
Yeah.
or it's always just having that balance between them both.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I definitely have been doing that. Meditation really helps for me. And like I do a lot of like my meditations, like I lie down. That's what I do. I go into a lucid state. I find and you put blindfolds on or you do it in the dark. Like I like that. I like sensory deprivation. I like the darkness, when going into meditation. I find it helps me have like those visions more, like I could relax my body to a state of like half wake, half sleep, and then have those, like I'm still awake, obviously, and I'll just like wake up out of it and like have another vision and then like wake up out of it, and then sometimes visions will last longer, like that's why I like sensory deprivation, and like I want to do that in the future more, because like you can like stay there for like a few hours, and like be in that lucid state, and like you're not sleeping, you're doing something, you're creating a space of like practice, so like you're designating time to do this, so you're not really falling asleep.
Right.
And that's what I like to do when it comes to like meditation. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like I mean, it helps things become more visual, but also you have like thoughts that come along with it, you know, and like breakthroughs. Like you could induce a breakthrough like that, I feel. Yeah.
Right. Right. There's some meditations that I have that's like I've tried to train myself to be completely silent in the head, because it's
Mm-hmm.
like every second of the day, if I'm not saying something, I'm saying something in my head, and
Yeah.
it's like I've been trying to learn how to not do that, and I've been like that since a kid though, so
Yeah.
I've just during meditations I've been
Well,
practicing just silence so that
like
they can talk to you.
yeah, in meditation, like I never used to be able to meditate before I did DMT. I couldn't. I couldn't. I didn't know how to. I tried, and every single time I tried for like a minute or two, and I'd be like, I can't do this. Like, what the hell? Like, why can't I do this? And I was just like beating myself up for it. And then I took DMT, and then all of a sudden that changed. Like, I could meditate for like 2 or 3 hours, or like 8 hours, like whatever. And it was like nothing. You know what I mean? Like keeping that stillness. Yeah, yeah. That's become really easy for me to get in those states now. Like I could just jump in it, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I meditate, I've like recently I've started to sit. I call it. I don't know the real term for it, but I call it sitting Buddha style.
Mhm.
But you know how like when you cross your legs and you put it up, and
Yeah.
it actually hurts me pretty. Like it hurts my legs pretty bad to do that. But the pain for me is what helps me go into deeper meditation, because it's what makes me want to leave the physical reality. I'm like, okay, well, if my soul leaves into another realm,
Mhm.
I'm not gonna feel that pain that I'm feeling right now. So it really helps. It helps me with get to a deeper meditation,
Disassociated.
and
Yeah.
then it's like, and then eventually I'll reach a point where I'm just completely like still, and
Yeah.
then it's like no pain. I don't even feel my body anymore. I'm just in this void,
Yeah.
and I used to practice meditation with my eyes open,
Yeah.
but in a completely pitch black room.
Mm.
Um, where it's like so pitch black you can't even see your hands in front of you, where it looks like your eyes are closed.
Yeah.
And meditation like that is pretty interesting too, because I've noticed it's a little different and it's a little easier to have visual meditation that way.
Hmm. Yeah, Skanky Mojo says the same thing. He does the lotus position, and it's really hard for him to keep that as hard on his spine, and like he goes into that disassociative state where he just like goes into that void. Yeah, yeah, and it's a practice for him. We have different ways of doing it, but there's so many ways of achieving the same thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty cool. Hey Reflections, if you like my video, please like, subscribe, and check out my other videos.